Okay, hello everybody and welcome to the iPhone photography portion of the class. Hopefully you've been enjoying learning how to use your DSLR camera. Tracy's doing an awesome job of explaining how to shoot in manual. I am a professional photographer and I have 5 kids myself. So the realistic thing is I rarely take my camera, my big camera, out with me when we go somewhere. But I always have my iPhone with me. So a few years ago I realized I wasn't taking any pictures of my kids anymore because I wasn't taking out my big camera, and even when I did, I was never uploading them and doing anything with them. So a few years back I decided to just let go of needing the perfect shot with my big DSLR and just getting some great snaps with my iPhone. So I do teach an iPhone course in person, but I'm going to try and put that together today in a video for you. So as a photographer, when kids come to me as a client, I often find they think taking photos means the end of fun. And so I've tried hard with my kids to not stop what they're doing, to not make them stop and smile in a cheesy way. I definitely don't ever say cheese, because that doesn't ever produce a smile that I like. But instead I just let them play, and I try and capture more sort of behind the scenes looks at what they're doing. The end result is I want to have pictures that remind me of what they were really like at that age, and the things they enjoyed doing, and I want to capture their genuine smile. And so if I ask them to stop doing what they're doing, stop going on the swing, or sit still and smile at the park, of course they don't want to sit still and smile. So I'm going to let them just play, and then hopefully capture some pictures of them in movement by sort of anticipating where they're going to go next and finding interesting angles but not stopping them from what they're doing. Okay, so we've been talking a lot in this online class about lighting and how important it is when you're taking pictures to choose a great time of day. And so today we're out at the park at around 6 o'clock at night. We're getting some late afternoon, early evening sun, which is going to be softer and warmer. We won't have the harsh midday shadows that create the circles under your eyes. So it just helps me work to my advantage if I want to try and get some pretty shots of the kids while they play. The other thing we've talked a lot about in our DSLR class is finding interesting angles and new ways of looking at things. So while your kids are playing, like for example on the swing or the slide, think of, instead of just walking up to the shot, standing there and snapping it, think about a different way to look at it. Could you crouch down low and shoot up high? We call that a worm's eye view, or maybe a bird's eye view where you stand overhead and shoot down below with them looking up. But find ways to make your pictures look a little more interesting and really capture their personality. And there's also beautiful catch lights you can get on a day like this when you have some nice soft light. So have them looking up. You'll get some pretty catch lights in their eyes, which always makes the picture pop and bring it alive. Okay, so I'm excited to show you what a little outing at the park looks like and how to get some great shots, and I think we're ready. You guys ready to play? Here they come. Okay, so I can see Alita having fun talking to her sister through the tube. So rather than stop her and make her turn around, I'm going to try and get a cute angle on her and make sure the lighting works for what I want to do. So that's going to require, probably I'm going to need to get underneath the slide to shoot that way. So I'm going to go do that. I like that the sun's behind her. I'm getting down low so I get kind of an interesting angle. I can see like her hair is being lit from behind, which makes it a kind of a fun lighting shot. Olivia, you want to do one more time? Can you yell something to Alita? And I'm going to tap to expose her. Since that sun's behind her, it's a little tricky for a phone to figure out the lighting. So I'm going to tap right there on her. Oh yes. And you're done? Again, see if you can climb the slide. So I'm also going to position myself to predict when they're coming up. So I know Alita loves to climb up this thing. And so I'm going to let her do that a couple times, and when she comes back up next time, I'll be ready to get a shot of her walking towards me. Hey Alita, you want to go back down the slide and try again?
Sure.
Okay. Go down. Hi Livy!
Hi Mom!
Are you coming?
Yeah!
Boy, here she comes. Here she comes. Okay, So while she was coming up, I shot probably 10 pictures, just because the light is changing because of the shadows on her face. So I'm hoping to catch one where she doesn't have a weird stripe across her face and the lighting looks good. Oh, is your hair getting in your face? You're gonna go fast. Right. Are you gonna come get me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't have that on photo. Okay. Oh, here comes Libby. You wanna go on the swings? Okay. Okay, so the girls want to go on the swings, and so I'm going to ask them if they will turn around and face on the swing the other way, because I'm noticing that the background behind them currently is a parking lot with my van and some tennis courts, and they have pretty harsh light in their face, so they're going to be squinty. It's pretty uneven light. Like Alita has bright light in her face, and Olivia has some shadows in her face. So I'm going to ask them to turn around and see if I can spin around, because behind them, this way, is all trees and nice backlight. And so I'm going to be thoughtful before I start taking a picture. Okay, ready? I'm going to turn you around and then we'll ready.
Hey, Mommy, come on. Hey, Albie, come on.
This way.
Ready?
Okay, so Alita was just telling me she likes to kick the sky and then kick her butt, and she thought it was funny when she said that. She learned that at school. So I was trying to get some pictures of her feet kicked up in the sky. The tricky part of that with the sunlight behind her is that the phone is thinking it's a super bright scene, so it's making her really dark. So that's where you're being able to lock in your autofocus, and auto exposure is important. So once you push that button down and it pulses 3 times, it'll lock. And I locked it in a dark area so that it would brighten up her face so I could see her. So yeah, that makes it easier. Okay, so to get to your camera, once you turn your phone on, you can just see the little camera icon down here and swipe right up. It's a faster way than going into the app. I wanted to show you that the iPhone already has built in an autofocus and an auto exposure. So depending on, if I go over here, you can see how bright it is. And over here it's nice and dark. And if you tap, that's where it's going to be in focus. So there's a doll over there on the ground you can see is out of focus because I've tapped over here and put my jeans in focus. If I then move it over here, now it's going to put the doll in focus, who's in a much brighter area. And then my legs are a little darker. If you are moving around though, it's going to keep adjusting as it picks up more light from a window or not. So if you're taking a group picture and things are moving, you can go like this and press on it and it will pulse a couple times. And now you're going to see it says AEAF lock. That's autofocus, auto exposure lock. And now when I move it around, nothing will change. It's locked it in place. And then you just unlock it by tapping somewhere else, and now it's going to do that. So you can see if I tap here, my jeans are in focus, the doll is out of focus. Tap over here, she's exposed properly and focused properly. And that's how you can adjust your exposure and your focus. Okay, today I want to show you some of my favorite editing apps. I use them all the time and love being able to edit a picture before I post it or print it. So here's my photography folder. We're going to look at Snapseed first. I have a couple favorites I want to show, and we're going to start with Snapseed. It's really simple, and I think it was maybe $1.99, or it might have even been free, I'm not sure. Go to Open Photo, and then you have your camera roll. Yeah. Okay. So I love this picture of Alita that we got at the park. I love it for a couple reasons. One, I love the light coming in behind her. And I also love her facial expression. I like when they're not looking at me being super smiley, but more like I'm just capturing a moment. So I like her expression in here. So once you open it, then you're going to go to this little button down here, and that's like an edit button. And it lets you choose all sorts of things. There's all these kind of filters that would be similar to Instagram filters, but just with more variety. But what I normally go to is this one right here. It says Tune Image. I'm going to click on that. And then it's a little confusing because you see nothing, but if you scroll up and down, you're going to see what it's going to allow me to tune. So if I choose brightness, which it's telling me below which option on the menu I've chosen, and then you just scroll to the right to make it brighter or to the left to make it darker. I'm just going to brighten it up a little bit. I don't need too much. Then I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to bump up the contrast like that. Gives a little more oomph. And then I don't think I'm going to mess with the saturation. The ambience will bring up some shadows and give it some color. Highlights will take the bright part and make it even brighter. So see that sun in the background is now even brighter. If I wanted to make it warmer, I could do that. So I'm going to make it just a little bit warmer. Once I've done everything I want to tune the image, then I just hit the check mark. Okay, and it saves it. I can push on the picture and you can see the before and after. It's got a little more sharpness, it's got a little more oomph and some contrast and some warm color. If I want to then go, if I wanted to crop the picture, I could. I'm actually happy with how it is, so I'm not going to do that. If you want to heal, oh sorry, here it is, healing. If there was like a cut on her face or some little mark on her face, which there's actually not, oops. You can see what you would do is just tap like that and it will find another spot to heal it with. Now because there's not a spot, it's, you know, taking weird places off her face. But if I went in and wanted to heal like a scratch or something, it would allow me to do that. Maybe we'll find another picture that would show that better. And then the other thing I'd like to do is go to the lens blur. And this allows me to kind of blur out some of the background if I want. I want to do it a little bit more realistically for what the real camera would actually do, which is keep in focus this whole plane and then blur everything behind her and in front of her. And you can choose like a really low blur strength or a really heavy. I'm going to choose somewhere in the middle so it looks like somewhat realistic and hit OK. Hit the check mark for OK. It's saving. So now I can see the before and the after. And then when you hit save, you can save with changes and it will, you know, just replace the one in your phone with the new option, or you can save with a copy. I usually save and don't save with a copy just because it saves them in my memory. So I'll hit save and it's going to go through the process of saving the things I changed. And it's done. Oh, sorry. Allow Snapseed to modify. Yes, you want to be able to modify the photo the way I asked it to. And now it'll say successfully saved. Next we're going to edit a picture of Olivia. I wanted to show you when she was climbing up this towards me. You can see I had some pretty harsh shadows on her face just because of the way the light was working that night. They would have been not there had I waited and done them later. So I don't love that, but on this shot, because of the way her face is turned, her whole face is in the light, and I kind of like that. So I'm going to edit this one. It doesn't really need much. I'll go to Tune Image again. It doesn't need to be brightened. It's already pretty bright. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to lower the brightness a tiny bit. It's got a pretty strong contrast already, so I don't need to do much there. Getting messages. It's a pretty warm image already, but I'm going to bump it up just a tiny bit. And then click that. I'll show you some of these filters. Here's a black and white. And down here you can see they have all sorts of options depending on what you want. And then within that you can still change the brightness, the contrast, and the grain of the black and white. And let's see what the vintage ones. And again, you can always tap the photo to see it before and after. So we'll up the brightness a little bit. And one more time I'll do the lens blur. Again, I'm going to keep it consistent with how the actual camera would take the picture. Oops. Spread it around her that way. Now you can see it's blurred in front of her and behind her. I'm going to tone it down just a little bit so it looks a little more realistic. Okay, so now it's, you can see the before and after. Hit save, save with changes. Saving all those parts, modify it, and successfully saved. Okay, so another one of my favorite apps is PicTapGo. I think it, again, is maybe 99 cents. When you open it up, it's going to show you all of your photos and your camera roll. So I'm going to choose, let's see, kind of liked these of Alita going down the slide backwards. So I'm going to go to edit. And I think I'll crop this a little just to take out the garbage can in the background there. So I'm going to zoom in. You can change the ratio if you want to square or just keep it as it normally would be. So I'm going to do that. You don't always have to center your subject right in the center. You could pull them off to the side a little bit. I don't like to cut off fingers like mid-hand, so I kind of like the crop of that. Hit apply. And then you're just going to scroll up and you're going to see all the filters. There's a lot of them, black and whites and color. I like lights on, although I don't need it for this shot because that's just a brightness. I normally like warm up, which again I don't need too much for this. So this slider lets you decide how much of that filter you would like. I will, let's see. The fade to gray is kind of fun to fade things out a little. This one gets rid of orange, which she had quite a bit of orange color in her face, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to go, and then there it lets you save it to your camera roll, or you could send it to Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media apps. And that's it. Another one of my favorites is Bokeh Lens, and that basically allows you to blur certain areas of the photo. So I'm going to open that up. It's nice and easy. It says start here, click on the camera, and you can have it pull from your photo library or actually take a photo. I always pull from my photo library. And I'm going to choose this picture. So there's a picture of my daughter in the backyard a few weeks ago. So I want to blur out the background even more than it is. So I click on the paintbrush, edit focus, and this is where you're going to paint over the area you want to stay in focus, and it will highlight it red for you so that you know. Now you can zoom in, and you could be super exact about it, and this is an eraser. If I wanted to erase, you know, a piece, and it's going to zoom in for me up in the top left corner. Most of the time I don't really care too much. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to hit done. That's the part that's going to stay. Actually, I'm not going to hit done. I'm going to, again, try and make this look realistic, which means the plane she was on, I want that to be all in focus and everything in front of her and behind her out of focus. So I'm going to highlight her and the plane she was on. It's going to process that. Now you can see where that line is, where it's blurred it out. And I can decide if I want it to be a hard line blur, where you can see exactly where it starts and finishes, or somewhere in the middle, which is what I usually do, where it's a slow blur. And then I can also decide how strong of a blur strength I want, all the way down to 0. Also is nice if you've got a picture of your child outside and there's other children in the shot that don't necessarily want their faces on social media, you can use this to blur out other people's faces. And then you can always tap to compare with the compare button, and it'll show you the before and after. And then this button is where you hit that to save to your camera roll or send to your social media. I always save in high res because in case you decide to print it later, you'll want that in a high resolution. And that's Bokeh Lens. Okay, I also wanted to show you some of the ways that I print my iPhone photos and different products that I love. For a long time I never printed them. I never take the time to upload them to like a 1 hour place or one of my labs. But I have found some products in the last couple years that have made it really easy to print. These are my absolute favorite. They're called chapbooks. You can see I have lots of them. And the reason I have lots of them is because it's linked to my Instagram account. And so the thing I love about chapbooks is I want to say they're $6 a book, and you pay, you just have an auto debit out of your checking account or credit card, and every time you reach 60 photos, it just automatically prints the book and sends it to you. And so I don't even notice it being paid because it just comes out of my account. It sends me a notification like, we're gonna send your next photo book. If you want to stop, that allows you to do it then, but otherwise you do nothing and it just sends it to you. So they take all of your Instagram pictures, print them in these cute little square books. My kids love looking through these, especially my little ones. Obviously they're not on Instagram, so they don't see the pictures until they're printed and in their hands. And I love that they'll have all these to look back and I don't have to do anything. They just come automatically. So those are chapbooks. It's an app you get on your phone and link it to your Instagram account. And I have actually heard it's for Facebook now too, though I have not linked it to that. Another app that I love is called Sticky 9, and they sell these magnet sets of 9, and they offer specials and deals every once in a while, so sometimes they'll do a buy 2 get 1 free. They're pretty nice, thick quality magnets. My refrigerator is covered with these. Just a fun way to display pictures as well. They make great little Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers, that kind of stuff. And then another one of my favorite products are Postal Picks. Again, it's an app you can use linked to your phone. Every once in a while I'll remember to order prints, and it's just very simple. It links to your Instagram account, or you can upload it from your camera roll on your phone, and you just tap the photos you want printed. It saves your credit card information if you want it to. It saves your address. And it's just an easy, quick ship. I think they're 13 cents a print. They'll print them in square or rectangle if you want. But I try and I've bought some things lately for my house at craft stores. This is one of the things that hangs in my living room. It makes it really easy for me to swap out prints and kind of keep them current. I try to, at different holidays, at Christmas time or Easter time this past year, I've gone back and printed Christmas and holiday photos from years past, and then just have this all be kind of related to the holiday theme. It's kind of fun and look back at old pictures that are all taken at the same spot. I got this little board at Michael's. It was like maybe $5, but it's another one where it's easy to swap out prints. I'm finding I hardly ever print professional prints and actually frame them, even though I should. But I'm much more apt to do this more frequently. So that's Postal Picks, another great app.